I believe we are now live. Welcome everyone to our Tech Talk today here at Splunk. We're going to be going through some really fun topics around Cisco threat intelligence and our integrations with Splunk security products. We'll be just getting started in a moment or two, just waiting for a few extra folks to join. But thank you all for being here. So if anyone has any questions, there's a Q&A tab here in the platform, so you can put those in there at any time. We'll get to those towards the end. Otherwise, all folks are muted other than presenters. So just another moment. I think we have still some folks coming in on the attendee list counter here. Okay, it looks like it's maybe stabilized a bit. Most folks are probably here. So wonderful. Let's get started, everybody. So today we're going to talk about, like I said, some fun topics, but with fun comes some risk sometimes. So we also need to sort of pause and say anything we talk about that's a forward-looking feature or roadmap item that isn't a GA part of the product yet needs to be governed by some of these statements here. So now that we've gone through these forward-looking statements, we are ready to get into the fun of things. So let's see here. So today, yes, like I said, we're going to talk about Cisco Talos threat intelligence and these wonderful set of integrations with a number of our Splunk security products. And we have a team of great product managers and as well as some threat research folks here. My name is Joseph Krikora. I'm a director in the PM team of Enterprise Security, looking after our detection capabilities and other things as well. Charles?
My name is Charles Lowe. I'm a product manager for Splunk SOAR.
My name is Aditya. I'm a product manager for Splunk Attack Analyzer. Great to see you all.
Hello, everybody. My name is William Largent. I'm a threat researcher here with Talos, so I'm the resident nerd on the call.
Thank you, William. Great. So today we're going to go through a couple fun topics at a high level, just kind of, what is threat intelligence all about? Why do we need it, in our practices and in our work and security operations? Then William's going to, walk us through lots of details around, what Cisco Talos is all about and the value that comes from that, part of the organization and product capabilities. And then we'll go to actual, fun details of the integrations with our different products and, how they work. We'll go through live demos and stuff like that. And then, let's wrap up with some next steps and as much time as we can spare for fun questions from you all. So let's get started on that. So really, why do we need threat intelligence? Just to kind of, start from that sort of a, core topic. We know, some of us have been working, in security for months, if not years. Personally, I've been working for, a couple decades now in security, and these problems, unfortunately or fortunately, continue to kind of trend in the direction of always having more data and more logs and more information to deal with and process from a security perspective. So that's one sort of trend. Another trend is the sort of the number of threats and the number of alerts that our security operations teams need to look at and process and prioritize and triage appropriately through their TDIR, threat detection, investigation, and finally response sort of stages of their workflows. It continues to kind of go up, right? Another trend is, the evolving threat landscape, right? And, William, can talk about that a little bit more, but this is, continuously changing and changing even more sort of dynamically over time, right? So all of these sort of ongoing changes and increases make it quite hard to keep up and to keep our organization safe and secure and maintain a reasonable security posture within our security operations teams, right? So by having, also the last item here, the pervasive lack of context, right? This is sort of a key sort of area within all of this. Do we know who are the threat actors? What, where are they coming from? What are the indicators of compromise? Within all of this data and all these possible alerts, when we don't yet know which ones are the highest priority or the riskiest ones to be investigating and responding to more quickly, right? So that's really, the essence of the needs. Now, what is, threat detection, investigation, and response all about when it comes to, threat intelligence within Splunk security products? As many of you already know, there's lots of good capabilities within our products already. There's threat intelligence feeds and threat intelligence management that's part of the Enterprise Security SIM product that we have. There's various real-time visualizations and other things that are integrated with Attack Analyzer. There's intelligence management capabilities in the SOAR playbooks and capabilities. And there's lots of threat intelligence and threat research that our research teams do behind the scene as and when they're sort of keeping up with the threat landscape and coming up with new detection content that makes its way down to our products, right? Whether they're playbooks or whether they're threat detections within enterprise security and so on, right? And now with Cisco Talos, we have this wonderful benefit, which is super easy to kind of use and benefit from within our products because we've sort of done the hard work for you, right? Some of the challenge with some of these previous sort of ways of, especially within enterprise security, is you need to kind of configure your own threat intelligence, sort of integrations, right? But this is done for you. So here now, we have this integration with Talos that makes it so that the challenges that I mentioned 2 slides ago start to get addressed more easily and swiftly. Prioritization is easier. The SOC teams are armed and are able to kind of react and respond more efficiently to all the work that they're tasked with, right? Now, what is Cisco Talos all about? I'd like to pass it over to William now to walk us through all these details.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, so essentially, who is Cisco Talos, right? We hear a lot about these things, and so I'm going to talk just briefly about who we are, kind of what we see and do, and then we'll let you get back to how this all integrates within Splunk. Just as a quick aside, I've been doing this like 24 plus years, and I was a Splunk user for years, way before we purchased, right? So like we all have been, I've been in your seats before, so this is really exciting. So, okay, so who's Talos? So Cisco's Talos is the threat intelligence group within Cisco. We create, protect, we analyze all this data that comes in, this massive amount of telemetry, and I'm going to get to some of that in just a second, but we analyze all of that tremendous information with hundreds of analysts like myself, 24/7. We are global. And what we do is we create protections based on that analysis, feed it into the devices, and then it's kind of the Ouroboros of threat research as we keep going within the all of the different Cisco devices, right? And so you think about all of the different Cisco security products and how they feed telemetry back to us. We analyze those things and then press it back out, right? So it's not just the Cisco devices as well. We have intelligence partnerships, especially like government agencies and things like that, where we do sharing. We're a creator and core member of the Cyber Threat Alliance. And so there's a lot of different things. The other thing that's really exciting is like our Talos IR engagement. So when the IR team is out there, boots on the ground, they're getting things that are happening actively in the wild and sending it back to us. And we talk through all of those things together. Beyond that, one of the other things I think is really interesting that doesn't come up on this slide, because you guys can read, so I don't need to say all these things, but one of the things that comes up that I think is really important is we have a lot of different native language speakers within our Talos research organization. I think it's like almost 50 different native languages now, which is really important. And I always kind of pointed out when people ask about why I think that's so important. And I think to myself, well, I speak English and so does my kid. My youngest is just now 18. But if I picked up his phone and typed a snap to one of his friends, they would know immediately that it was not him, because even though we speak the same language, it's not necessarily the same language, right? And so having those native language speakers is really valuable and important. And so that's really neat when it comes to folding in the Talos threat research, especially when we're talking about pulling apart malware and different things like that, right? So the one thing that I'll say that's really great, right? Like, so it's the way that it's a holistic and a community kind of approach, right? So when we block something, and say it's domains that are out from a spam campaign, and that's happening in Australia, right? We block, say, a couple of hundred domains because we know the threat actor and we see these different things. Those domains may be from a third-party service provider, which the bad guys are black hat, white hatting the same things, right? And so it may be a cloud service provider that's just selling the exploit on the landing pages. So a phishing team may use it. A malvertising team may use it. So now a malvertising campaign that's happening in Eastern Europe is blocked because a spam campaign in Australia happened, right? Like, that's that holistic and community aspect. You gain blocks sometimes on devices that didn't have the origination of the block. So that's like really cool stuff. And so folding all of that information and that threat intelligence from all the different devices into any one of your Cisco devices. And so if you have one device, you're going to gain a lot of that community-driven aspect and blocks from the other devices as well. And so to me, I think it's a really great thing, and I love seeing it in action. And that's kind of who we are at a very high level and what we do in terms of blocking and researching and all that stuff. And we do that, across the various domains of threat analysis, right? And so sometimes it's nation state or state sponsored activity. Sometimes it's cybercrime, although those two circles, the Venn diagram, are crossing over a lot now, right? And so that's one of those things that's really important, even as they've come now to small and medium-sized businesses as well as the enterprise. And with that, I'll pass it over to you guys to take it on with the integrations portion.
Wonderful. Thank you, William. Thanks for that insight. So yeah, so here, now we're going to, get into the more fun topics of how this actually works with our, products here. We have 3 products to showcase our, Enterprise Security SIM. And this, requires a Splunk app to get started, but it's really just as simple as, installing the app, and then the configuration and magically happens behind the scene. There's a connector for the Talos intelligence for Splunk SOAR, and then it's all essentially done for you invisibly for Attack Analyzer. So let's go into those details. So the way that it works for Enterprise Security, and it's available. First, let me just mention what it is and how it works at a high level. So what it is enrichment. It's intelligence enrichment for findings, or you would know them as notables within the analyst queue or incident reviewer if you haven't upgraded to ES 8.0 release yet. And by enrichment, you'll see what that means in a moment. But essentially, it's something that is just a few clicks away for the SOC analyst, when they're triaging or investigating and looking into a potential incident, whether or not certain indicators that are URL, IP, or domain that are unknown at the time the analyst is looking at them, to get them enriched with the intelligence from Talos, right? So it's an enrichment service built into the analyst queue or the analyst queue or the incident review. It's integrated through what's known as an adaptive response action, and it just kind of auto-magically works. There's no configuration other than setting up the Splunk app that is like the integration helper app for enterprise security. Now, the key thing that to remember here is it's only supported as of now for enterprise security instances that are running in Splunk Cloud. So if you have an on-prem instance of enterprise security, you won't be able to benefit from this just yet. That is on our roadmap to address and work on very soon. So now let's jump into what it looks like and how it actually works. And I will jump into this assisted demo interface, which should be showing up in your media sort of center somewhere in On24. And this is there's some pop-ups to help guide these sort of the demo here. So what we have is when we're logged into Enterprise Security, we have the Cisco Talos Intelligence for Enterprise Security app that's installed, and it's really like it's almost an empty app. It has just one dashboard that shows you some of the usage and any error cases of the API calls behind the scene. But that's sort of like something that's not even necessary. What is necessary is to benefit from it, right? So here we are in the analyst queue, and we have a SOC analyst looking at a particular finding. It looks like somebody's been trying to kind of access some sites and do something that looks fishy or risky. Now, when an analyst looks into and begins to triage this particular finding, they're going down the list of the interesting fields, and they see, oh, this destination looks like a URL, but at the time of the finding being raised by the detection here, there is no information yet about this particular indicator. So the analyst says, let me see what I can kind of very quickly find out about this internetbadguys.com website, right? So they click into the menu here. They find the adaptive response action that helps them get to the Talos enrichment adaptive response. And there's just one click left here to pick that particular destination URL and match it with a URL kind of a reputation lookup from the Talos service. And after that, you run it, and the response, within half a second to a second or two, shows up as a note that's added to the particular finding. So now this piece of information is available. It's there in the UI. It tells you everything that Talos knows about this particular website. So whether it's trusted, untrusted, is there a certain threat category like phishing or credential theft or malware, or any other command and control things, or malware distribution, drive-by downloads, any things like that. This one just happens to be a generic malicious file sort of associated kind of a malware kind of site, right? So that is pretty much it, right? It's really that simple. We see it mostly showing up in the user interface to help our security analysts get through the work more quickly with that added context and enriched information from Talos, right? So as we see these three different product integrations, one thing I wanted to mention was you'll see it sort of as a basic sort of use within enterprise security, where the security analyst clicks some buttons and gets the information. Right now with SOAR, you'll see it a bit more sort of automated and configurable, right? And you don't have to click any buttons. And finally, with Attack Analyzer, it's invisible. It just happens for everybody behind the scene, right? So I'll pass it over to Charles.
Thank you, Joseph. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Splunk SOAR is an automation product that allows SOCs to automate manual tests and workflows, helping customers save time and respond quickly to threats. And as Joseph said, with a Cisco Talos connector that we created, you can perform these threat intelligence actions at scales and automate your enrichment workflows. So for SOAR Cloud, if you're a SOAR Cloud customer, you have this out-of-the-box pre-configured Talos connector. You can perform various reputation actions, for example, like IP reputation, domain reputation, and URL reputation. So given that it's pre-configured, you don't have to set up anything, no need to put in any type of credentials. It's already there for you, installed and ready to go. So by using this connector, you can automate some of your core use cases like enrichment. And for SOAR, enrichment is one of the core use cases that we have. So we think that you'll get significant value from this connector. And let me show you what this looks like in SOAR. So here you should be able to see my screen. So not only did we create a Cisco Talos connector, we also created an out-of-the-box playbook that uses this Talos connector. So basically what this out-of-the-box playbook does is it performs various reputations, and as an output, you get a report, like a threat intel report.
Hey,
So,
Charles, just to interrupt, I see a speaker on the screen, like like a little icon. I don't see your screen share as such. Can you maybe retry the share?
Yeah. Can you see my screen now?
Yes. Now.
Oh yeah. Sorry about that. There was a hiccup. But yeah. So this is the out-of-the-box playbook that we created. Basically, describing this playbook, it performs various reputations, and as an output of this playbook, you get a report, like a threat intel report, that provides some results or outputs from those threat intel actions. So a common, like an easy use case or playbook that you can build using this playbook is, for example, like now that you have a report produced by a Talos connector and Talos playbook, you can easily add that report or note to an enterprise security finding or enterprise security investigation. So if you're already getting significant value or a lot of value from enterprise security, this is like an additional way you can get further value by having this report being added to finding and investigations automatically. This is a breakdown. So as I said, this is for cloud customers only, but we do have on a roadmap to ship it for on-prem customers as well. Now I'll hand it off to Aditya for Splunk Attack Analyzer.
So now we have discussed that we have a Talos integration with Splunk SOAR and Splunk Enterprise Security. Why do we need a Talos integration for Splunk Attack Analyzer? Well, it's because Splunk Attack Analyzer can jump through a lot of hoops, essentially through obfuscation techniques that attackers put in the way. What sets it apart is its ability to think what a human SOC analyst will do next, and then jump through all of those hoops. And then it gives you a verdict if it's a malicious artifact or not. I'll share my screen. So we see over here that there is a Dropbox URL. We see Attack Analyzer can navigate through a complex attack chain, redirect a couple of times over here, and click on two interesting URLs, this one and this one. Going ahead, let's see in the screenshot section. So we see that we have an open document or download button on this Dropbox page. We go click on that. We see that it's opening a sign up page, and we see that it's an Outlook sign up page. We clearly see that the URL over here is not a Microsoft Outlook sign up URL. So it's a phishing. We go up and we check on the URL reputation. We see Talos has clearly stated that this is untrusted, its threat category is phishing, and we can go over here and see the other details. Now Web Analyzer kills it as well. We see that Web Analyzer also navigates through them, checks, and tells you that, okay, this one is a phishing. For any artifact that needs to be detonated in Splunk Attack Analyzer, that resource or artifact needs to be live and up, just in this case, where we see that this is live. Now, what happens when this is not live and taken down? Going to another example, we see that we have another URL, and we see that it's 404. It's no longer live. In such situation, Web Analyzer won't be able to go and follow any URLs. Cisco Talos comes into play. We see Talos has clearly given it untrusted and phishing. This is because Talos has a wider audience, and the probability that Talos came across this URL when it was live and up and knew that this was malicious and a phishing was very, very high. So this is how Cisco Talos empowers Splunk Attack Analyzer in a way that it can go and tells you that, yeah, this is a malicious URL. Just a second.
Okay. All done, Aditya?
Yeah.
Great,
So
thank you.
going through next step.
Yep, thanks. So our next steps, really, I think for these products, for enterprise security, which is what I manage aspects of here, all like I mentioned, all you need to do is go to Splunk base, download a single, very simple app on your cloud instance, and then it takes a few minutes or up to 60 minutes, depending on the time that it's running, for some cloud orchestration to automate the sort of the plumbing and entitlement and certificates behind the scene, and then you're off to the races. For SOAR, Charles?
For SOAR, it's pre-installed. So if you're a cloud customer, you should already have this connector. You can just immediately plug this connector into your playbook and you're ready to go.
For Attack Analyzer, this feature is already enabled globally for all the customers. You do not need any connector. You do not need any additional app. You do not need to do any other configuration. You can just go into Splunk Attack Analyzer and use it.
So Aditya, there's no clicking or anything at all. It just all happens automatically, huh?
Yes, this all happens automatically.
That's a blue sky scenario, if you ask me. Yeah. So I guess we're at a Q&A now.
Yeah, thanks everyone. And to everyone on the line, feel free to submit your questions. We'll get through as many as we can. Taking a look at what has been submitted so far. So first thing, do the integrations cost any money?
Is the question, is there any cost associated with this?
Yes.
Sure. So I can answer that. Short answer is no. As long as you have a license to use an active subscription for enterprise security or SOAR or Attack Analyzer, then it's included at no additional fee within those products.
Awesome, thank you. We do have a question. Somebody asks, how about for non-SOAR customers? I'm not sure if that means, maybe whoever submitted that question can clarify. I'm not sure if you mean using a SOAR that's not Splunk or just leveraging some of the other integrations. I don't know, does anybody have thoughts on that?
If you mean like non-Splunk product integration, no. So this, the Talos intelligence services can only be used for Cisco products, and now that we're Cisco products, we get this benefit, right? But if it's not a Cisco product with a pre-built integration, then it's not available.
Okay, great, thank you. Let's see, next question. Where can we see the sources for the threat categorization for additional context, in parentheses, to check FPs?
William might know.
Yeah, so I'm not totally sure. If it's web-based, probably on the talosintelligence.com site, I believe you can check for things. I believe there may even be information on the drill down for the alert in question, or the named alert, depending upon how and where the protection originated. I think that might be the same for email. I'm not sure about like malware specific SIGs or any of those kind of things, but I think that those both show up reputation wise on the talosintelligence.com website.
Awesome, thanks, William.
For Attack Analyzer, you can actually see it in the UI as well, right next to the Talos section, where it says threat category, and it will let you know that, yeah, the category was phishing in that way.
And Aditya, maybe a follow-up question for you. Somebody is asking how Cisco Talos is involved in Splunk Attack Analyzer. since it's working automatically in all environments. So I think maybe if you just kind of want to talk again a little more broadly about how Talos is really supporting Attack Analyzer.
Yeah, perfectly. So the work of Talos over here is Splunk Attack Analyzer sees or intakes a bunch of URLs or files. Now, when you take a bunch of URLs, you can actually go and see that you click on it, it redirects you to several URLs. Talos gives you a reputation check on all of those URLs and lets you know that, yeah, this was malicious or not. Now, this is super helpful in case that URL is down, because at that point, Attack Analyzer won't be able to analyze that. It will just give you a 404 because you can't really go and check anything that's down. But Talos, having a wider audience, would have seen that way before in time and would let you know that, yeah, this is a particular scenario where it's malicious. It was malicious, and it gives you that verdict.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
I think a great example of that would be like when you see domains that are stood up using fast flux DNS or one of those kind of things like that, where it bounces through several different URLs, or malvertising where, like we pointed out before, like you go to one site, say it's like ESPN.com, but you're really touching, I don't know, what is it like currently, like 80 something plus domains in that one load, right? So a lot of those things get folded under there. And so I think that's a really important aspect of how those blocks continue to stay within the Talos intelligence research there. Sorry, there you go.
Awesome, love it. The next question we have is, if I don't have any Cisco products, but I do have Splunk Enterprise Security, is there value for me?
Yeah, of course. So if you have Splunk Enterprise Security, you do have a Cisco product. And that's exactly, what I was trying to explain earlier. Basically, right, with Enterprise Security, you just install the single Splunk app, and then it sort of self-configures behind the scene through the cloud orchestration, and then you can use that adaptive response action in the analyst queue.
Perfect. Another question for Aditya. Someone's just asking for clarification. Do we need to integrate Cisco Talos first with SAA?
Absolutely not. It's already integrated in your environment. You can go and check right now. If you go on the reputation, or if you go on URL reputation tab for any resources, you can see that Talos is already presented for you.
Perfect. And then we've got a couple of questions asking if there's any information we can share about, sort of what the future holds for these integrations, any sort of sneak peek information we can provide.
Sure. So I can speak for enterprise security and a little bit generally. The obvious one is support for on-prem stacks of enterprise security, and that I think goes for SOAR as well, right? This would be something that would be, integrated through likely through a threat intelligence management cloud service and architecture that we are in the process of building as well. But that we haven't mentioned here because we don't have a sort of a confirmed release for that yet, but it is heavily planned already, so we can speak to it. I think another thing that is already in the works that is a little outside of the scope of what we talked about here is threat detection signatures around network activity, specifically better detection signatures, detection sort of correlation rules, if you want to call it that, for all sort of Cisco products, right? So the research teams have already been sharing information behind the scene, intelligence of all sorts to to help sort of upgrade our detection packs for enterprise security. Another thing that I have in my sort of requirements planning as well is different types of indicators, right? So here we're talking mostly URL reputation and classification, right? But we also have file hashes and other types of intelligence that we would like to enable customers with the benefit of Talos intelligence as well.
Yeah, I would say that will be huge as it comes down the line. Speaking as someone who used to do remote managed services, leveraging Splunk, right, and doing my threat hunting in that environment, which I still kind of do today. It's just a completely different style. But I think it's really great, especially in terms of the active correlation that you'd be able to grab, right, between, say, the file hashes on the devices and the network activity kind of across the way, and the way that Splunk pulls all that together for you so easily, so that you save a lot of analyst time, right? Like, to me, that's like one of those things that's really just so valuable, just because I used to do that so much as a team. And so, yeah, I think that'll be super exciting as it rolls.
Great. Next question, again, focusing on the app for Splunk Enterprise Security. Somebody asks, are there any data privacy concerns with installing Talos intelligence in my Splunk Enterprise Security? Is any data sent outside of Splunk or Talos?
Well, the indicator of interest, right? The IP address or domain or URL is the piece of data that is, sent from Splunk to the Talos API service, and that's that's something that all Cisco products do that integrate with Talos. Beyond that, William, can you share any other privacy?
Yeah, so I don't think that there would be any concerns. I mean, we ingest data from so many varied sources, and we're very secure about those things. I think, again, I'm a researcher, so I could probably exploit your phone or do it something like that better than I would know necessarily specific product things. But in terms of data privacy and security, we handle so much of the world's data and all of those things. And so that's a top of mind priority for Cisco Talos. So I wouldn't necessarily say that there are any concerns in terms of that, especially like you said, because most of what we're getting and ingesting in this kind of back and forth is simply external IP addresses and domains and different things like that are already being ingested via all of the other different products and stuff like that. So really, you're just gaining kind of protections from those things. I wouldn't say necessarily that there's any internal data or anything that we're able to see or do from that.
Great, thanks, William. And we've got just a couple more left here. So one person is looking to get some clarification on how the integrations relate to Splunk Enterprise. Specifically, they ask, would you have to pay if they have Splunk Enterprise?
Well, you have to pay for Splunk Enterprise Security. But are you asking for like Splunk Enterprise, the platform product?
I think that's what they're getting at.
I see. So short answer is it only works with enterprise security. That's how it's been designed and tested. And it's intended to work that way.
Perfect. Easy answer. And then I think this is the last question we've got for now. It's a little bit of a different topic, but I'm going to throw it out there. And if anybody wants to chime in, please feel free to do so. There's someone saying that they're in ISC2 certified in cybersecurity, and they're still developing their skills using SIM tools. They say, I'm working through a VM workstation to develop my skills and was wondering what beginner Splunk tools you all have for VM workstations. I don't know if anybody has thoughts on that one.
These folks who know better than I'll share with you the way that I did much the same way when I was first learning. The thing that I did a lot is practice my cross correlation skills. And so I would leverage the built-in API features so that I would pull from two disparate data sources and pull them into Splunk to see if I could configure, and then I would just run traffic across both sides and see if I could see when I was doing reconnaissance versus when I exploited a shell on a vulnerable host, and to see how I could get that to correlate in different ways via the Splunk dashboard. And so that was really like how I kind of picked and poked through and learned how to leverage Splunk for my own usage, and was trying to improve my network detection skills all at the same time. I don't know if that's a great answer for you, but that was how I first was leveraging those tools, right? So it was a lot of host-based data here, and then like snort rules here, and leveraging those two And this, you know, the Splunk API makes it so easy to fold those in like that.
Awesome. Love it. Thank you, Bill. I think with that, we can bring the Q&A portion of this to a close. And Aditya, I'll kick it back over to you to wrap things up.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So what are some of the key takeaways that you take from this tech talk? William, Joseph already started with this, and it's about integrated the threat intelligence to support your efficient TDIR, which Cisco Talos and Splunk brings to you by combining their power together. This helps enhance the defenses and tackle the threats landscape for you. We are super excited for you guys to go and use it and to be updated with your own threat landscape. Now, there are some of the additional resources that you can go and check out. There are a couple of blogs and a couple of documentation which revolves around how this integration works and how you can get much more value from Splunk security products along with Cisco Talos. And upcoming community office hour soon. It's on 19th of March. You can shoot all your questions right before time, and a Splunk expert would come and deliver the answers to you on that community hours. It's on 19th of March. Now, how to be part of Splunk community? Well, this is the best community. Well, to become a part of Splunk community, you can join Splunk community office hours, where an expert will answer all your questions. It's a personalized experience. You get tips and you get some guidance right over there. Then there is Splunk ideas. If you have any nice idea that you want to go and shoot for us, there are many people who can go and upvote. You can go and upvote others' ideas as well that you want to see in other Splunk security products. And then there are Splunk answers and discussions as well. With that, I would like to hand over.
Great. I guess we are all done because the thank you slide says so. Thank you all for coming and spending time with us here today on this Wednesday morning or afternoon. And we look forward to, staying connected with you through, Splunk communities, and have a nice day.
Thank you, everybody.
Great to see you guys.
Thank you.